Okay. I'm recording now. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The idea was okay with Bootstrap comes with some sense of classes, components. Even though the components are just normal HTML tags put together, nested, and then they have some CSS mostly from Bootstrap. You can just copy and paste into your code, and then you are good to go. And in most cases, you might have to adjust a couple of things after doing the copy and paste. And while
Sir,
you,
I don't know if you're sharing your screen. Am I the only one that is not seeing it? Or you're just introducing the class to us? Are you sharing your screen?
I'm not sharing my screen.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, so that's that. So basically, you get to see that's where we started seeing something like deflex and all of that. Okay, let me just go straight to sharing my screen safe. Um, I'm trying to get the what's it called we used for the last session. I'm coming. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Hello, can you see my screen now? Hello.
Yeah, we are seeing your screen.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay,
Yes, I can see your screen.
all right, thanks. Just gonna close to the right. So, and then I think I created a GitHub link from the last class. We have a Fourier that's going. Okay. Authentication asset support index. Okay, I think this is where we were. So I made a push from the last class here. I think what I have open here is not what I'm actually looking for. So I'm gonna just do something here. Clone this. That's clone this repo on my system, and then we have that to work with. We just start to continue from what we have here. Probably locate where the stuff is data on my system. Okay, so from here, you come to this, you can just see you have HTTPS, SSH and what have you. Just copy this, click on this, and then you can open your terminal. So, but I'm just gonna use this terminal here. I'll say back. Let's go back. Then on desktop, I'll say git clone, paste. So I'm saying paste git clone this particular repository. So basically it will try to download everything we have in this particular repository into a folder called Aphoria, unless of course you give it a name. So I'm gonna do something at this point. Split terminal. That's yeah. Okay. This terminal.
What's up? So I don't think it is just me, sir. Your screen is not. These things are very small. I'm not seeing it very well.
Okay, right. Sorry. I'm just using it this way. I'll increase the words you go down.
Okay, thank you.
About something. Okay. Okay, so back to this. So ls, I want to save the name already exists on my desktop. No, so it seems I can actually create it. Okay, I'll just go ahead with this. So we have a folder called Aphoria here, and then I can do something like code. Hello, can you see this? Hello, can we see the new what's it called I'm switched to? I'm gonna close this. Okay. stop sharing. Coming.
The handle of the phone.
Okay, I'm coming in. Okay, and then desktop.
Hmm?
Okay.
The phone.
Okay, can you see this? Okay. So basically, this is the folder I cloned, and there is one more. Okay, and then we have this, which is where we cloned the rebel from. So I believe in our last class, I already walked us through how to do this, and then in the first class too. And I made mention of the fact that it's not impossible. We still have some people who have been issues with this, and I think we should just have a separate section to go over it again. But we just continue with what we have for the sake of others. So basically, we've cloned this particular repository or project folder. You can see we have assets support all of these guys. Now, here, we have assets, all of this here. Okay. And then our test site is still aphoria.com. If you notice something, they seem to have changed this. This was not like this before. Okay. So this is our own. And I'll open a new tab here. Let me start the live server first. So index, open with live server, which is this. So this is what we had, and this is the original site. So in the previous section, we were able to get the head information to align with what we have on the original site. And then you can see we were on this guy, which is the header section, which is this. So we were able to get the information we have here to be what we have here, except for we didn't do any styling as that's the last section. And then after which we move on to this section like that till we hit the end of the page. So every changes we'll be making or everything we'll be working on will be pushed to this particular branch for us to see or to check. So let's just continue. Just take this guy. Okay. So one of the things, then we mentioned Bootstrap. So let me just open another tab for Bootstrap. So we are using Bootstrap 5. So again, how did we do the setup for Bootstrap? If you once you come to the Bootstrap documentation, you will see a straightforward, what's it called, get started information about how to set it up. So basically, just follow the guide you have here. You should have what you're looking for. So basically what we did was, let me just go to this. When we're adding Bootstrap, we added a link here, which is this the the link for the CSS, the Bootstrap CSS. So basically this is what you are getting with Bootstrap. You are copying or referencing a CSS file that is external and also not in your repository. This is what I mean. If you look at the Bootstrap reference you have here, it says link reference where the file is located. So you can see it's located at cdn.jsdeliver.net, what have you. Then it references a Bootstrap file, bootstrap.min.css, which means this .min there is referring to a miniaturized version of it, which means it has been compressed. So instead of if you click on this link, instead of seeing the long how do I call it? Instead of seeing the, let me just copy it. Instead of seeing the long, instead of seeing it the way you write your CSS, you just see everything written together. And the true sense of it is this: when what's it called? When your CSS is being interpreted, it doesn't matter whether you have H tag declared on a single line, another one declared on a separate line. Everything will just, as long as the comma, the semicolon, everything aligns, it will read it perfectly well. So if this is the CSS that is being referenced, this is the Bootstrap CSS. So if you are looking at it this way, you probably be like, what is going on here? But if you carefully study it from this section, after this, you notice one thing there. From here, you have chart sets, this, then this shows you, this is the what's it called in Bootstrap, commenting in Bootstrap. You use this to do comments in Bootstrap to this point. So basically, the actual Bootstrap CSS starts from this column. So from here, you can see you have roots, all of these. So if you want to really see what you have here, let me just copy this from here and just take it to any point. Then just stop. I'm gonna stop here. So let me say I just copy this, copy, and then here I have the CSS file called my.css. So let's say paste. So basically, this is what you are seeing on the what's it called on here. This portion is this. So you can see everything is written together, but if you now go for a format, okay, format this thing, then it makes them look like the way you would have written it. So in the normal what's it called, you would have written it like this: roots, this, declaring values for all of these variables, and then you can see before, after, column, declarations, you can see body, all of this. So basically what it's doing is, instead of you writing this CSS yourself, you have them written already. It's just for you to pick them up. It's just for you to make reference to the right classes or tag. You can see for H1, if you say .h1, this is what you are trying to do. You are trying to, so it means for all H1, H2, H3 to H6 tags, anywhere you are using it in your code, it means you should give it a margin top of 0, margin bottom of 0.5, font weight of 500, and line height of this. So this is going to apply to all H1 through to 6 in an HTML document that references this particular Bootstrap file. So that's what we have. Since so now imagine if I copied the old stuff we have here and have them pasted here, you would have seen the full what's it called of it. So basically that's what you can see. You have legend. Let me just try copying everything. Copy. Copy.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I'm coming. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just supposed to what's it called, copy information from the Bootstrap stuff here. Okay, so this is everything again. This is the old Bootstrap file. So this is what you are referencing here on this line, saying go to this URL, use this, all these details and all of that. We are just doing this. We are copying just this. And you can see everything is just on a line. That's because it has been compressed, or you say it has been uglified. So I'll say format documents, and which is this. So now what we see here, you can see there's a class called fs-1. There's fs of 1, fs of 2, fs of 3, 4. So which means in any code that is referencing that this particular CSS declarations are made available, then it means if I say fs-1, just like you create a normal class in your code, it means if I have fs-1, then you can save the font weight, the font size is 2.5 rem importance. Under this condition, you can see there's a media query declaration, like, okay, minimum of 1,200. So at minimum of 1,200, the font fs1 will be this font size. And then if you scroll up, you see similar pattern too. I think somebody was asking me a question, and I was like, about what is going on in the documentation, the Bootstrap documentation, and I was like, all you need to just watch out for more is the pattern. You notice this is saying pt minus xxl minus 0, which and if you look at the next one, you can see that the difference between this declaration and this is 0 changing to 1 and 1 changing to 2, like that you get to 5. So usually in Bootstrap, you see it's from 0 to 5, whereby 0 means for that particular property, it's going to be 0. And then 5 means times 5 of a particular fixed value. There's usually a value to multiply by 5. So that's just it. So if you look at this one, okay, you get to 5 here. And then from this, you start seeing something, PE, XSS is 0, then straight, same thing to 5. And then you see PB, same thing, through to 5, like that. That's the way you will see most of those properties. For those that they're actually dealing with numerical values, like in the sense of, okay, you have a value of 10, 2, 20, 40. So you want to increase it. Okay, for example, in the case of this, you have PT XSL of 0 to be 0. And then when it's 1, you can see it's now 0.25. So, but when the value is 2, you can see that this 2 is actually this times 2, which is this. And when it is 3, you get to see something different. So times 3 might not, in most cases, times 3 might not be times 3 of that value. It could be like, okay, there's another increment. Like usually what you have there is like double. You just double things up. This is 0.25. This 2 is now twice of this. So you have 0.5. So if you look at 3 is now double of this, which is 1. And then the next one will be something like double of it, but what you have here is not double of it. That's why you need to actually check documentation. Okay, so in the case of XSL of 4, you have it as 1.5. And then the XSL of 5, you now have it as 3 REM. So which means this is like twice of the previous value. So what is PT? What does PT represent? The P actually stands for padding. And if you are looking at the pattern of what we have here, you can see when they say PT, you're actually seeing padding top. So PT, the P is padding and the T is top. So if you look at PE, P is padding end. That's the end part of it. So this is, let's say this is our page. This is our page. Let's say this is our page. So padding end is talking about the right side of your screen. Something like this. You want the space between, you want to create a space after this guy. What the space you put here inside the container is padding right. So this is right of this element. So you can call it end or right. So in some cases, depending on the version of Bootstrap or package you are using, you can see them using E or R to represent end. Are we together? So then if you look at PB, so you can see P is still padding and B is bottom. So same thing applies. You see it follows the same pattern like that. Then PX, then you want to ask me what do we have in between the PB and this 1, 2, 3, whatever. So they're actually for media query. They're actually for media query, but it seems to be a bit different from what we have here. This XSL was it called? I'm gonna scroll. Okay, it should be for media query. Okay, I'm just gonna see this as I want to see where this guy ends. XSL. So it seems they are using something else to generate this water view to put all the XSL together. Okay, so now look at what we have here. At media, minimum width of 1,400. So everything you have here applies to a screen size of 1,400. 1,400. So if you check this, all the values you see inside this
Sorry,
section.
sir.
Okay.
Hello, sorry, sir.
Okay.
You know, I was not in the last class. Like
Okay.
this. Oh God. Is this thing for the bootstrap? This thing you're saying, is it for the bootstrap alone?
It's in the bootstrap. I'm just explaining how to use what we have in the bootstrap.
Okay. Okay. Because I was lost. You know me, I would say my mind, I was lost. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Coming at this. Okay. So back to this. So if you check what we have here, this is saying minimum width of 1,200 media query, but there's nothing written on this. Okay. So this is 1,400. So if you look at what we have in minimum of 1,400, you have XXL in common to everything you have in this section, telling you at this particular width, these things, if any of these classes here is being called, the following properties should apply. So that's that. So the next one is, if you look at up here, you can see the XSL, instead of double X, you now have a single one. So there's a media query declaration here too. So I'm just gonna scroll up. So this is minimum width of 1,200. So before this guy too, we have another one, LG. So same thing applies to all of this. So if you go through the documentation, you see a pattern of this. So now if you ask me what is MB, we're already familiar with MB margin. So you can say MB is margin bottom. So and then you have this. So if you are going to read this CSS declaration, you will see it as margin bottom, where the width of the, what's it called, where the screen width is this particular LG. What's the value of LG? You might actually have to scroll to the top to actually know what LG is. Of 1. So if this class is used, give it a margin bottom of this. If this class is used, give it a margin bottom of this value. So what is LG? To scroll to see what it is. But the good thing is, once you get used to it, you know the pattern of this number. Let me just even minimize this thing so that you can see all the default class declaration, like breaking points. We call them breaking points. So what are breaking points? Breaking points are just like where you want to make changes to what you have on the screen. Okay, I'm coming. So that's another breakpoint. So these are the breakpoints you have here. So if you look at what you have here, you have invisibility here. You have invisibility here. So you have some properties that they don't have, what's it called? They don't have different, they don't have positive, they don't have all this 1, LG, -1, -2, all of those information. You'll get to see them when you are working with them in the documentation. So that's why you have a search bar here, which you can use to search for whatever you're looking for. So if you're looking for margin, you can search for margin. So margin padding, if you click on this, it takes you to what you have on it. And then you can see the different declarations you have that is applicable to margin of padding. And then you see the way they are being applied. You can see spacer is equal to times 0.25, all of this information. You get to see them in the documentation. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, okay, should I create a new class to actually deal with what I'm working on, or I have it already in this CSS? So if you are looking for margin, you know what, okay, you're searching for margin. If you are looking for position, you can see also on this side of the screen, you get to see some of these guys listed here, so which you can click and pick whatever you want from. So look at components. This is the component section. We are coming back to this. So if what you are looking for is already here, there's no point trying to create what is already in existence, like creating it for a particular component. You just deal more with
It's
class.
7 o'clock.
Okay. So you do more of adding classes to the component. So if you look at what we have here, you have the header, we have the header. So I'll minimize this. This is header, this is the main, this is the footer, and then this is the script. So this is the link we got from Bootstrap. And then this is our own custom CSS, which we'll be working with. So this custom CSS referencing this CSS here. Is my CSS. So this guy. And then I think I mentioned in the last class too that to make it easier for us to write CSS and to do some nesting, we'll be working with Sass. So which is this guy. So we're actually writing inside this, and this guy is actually converting it to this, which is now what we have attached to this page. Let me go by it again. In your HTML documents, you can't attach Sass file. Look at the extension of this. You have style, my styles.scss. You can't attach it straight up to an HTML document. It won't see it. So you have to find a way of getting this, converting this to this CSS file. This is what your HTML, your computer, or whatever you can read. So how do you now get this to this? I talked about having one extension in, what's it called, in VS Code that allows us, or that converts this guy into this. So whenever there is any changes in this file, it recompiles this or regenerates value for this using this, and then it adds this, what's it called, it will update this file too, which is a map which talks about how these things are converted from here to this. Okay, so I'm just gonna come back to this. So if you look at the way you have this guy here, my styles.sass file, this sass file, you can see you have header, and inside header, if you minimize this, you can see header starts from here and ends here. So inside header, you have nav, and inside nav, you now have image. So which means there is like a form of nesting being done here. And I think I mentioned this in one of our starting classes, that in CSS, you can't nest. In CSS, you can't nest, but in Bootstrap, in Sass, you are allowed to do some nesting like this. In normal CSS, you can't do something like this, but in Sass, you can do it. You can write the nesting the way you want. Just make sure you have a transpiler to convert this to CSS. So if you look at this header declaration, if I open this in a different section, open to the side, okay? So if you look at what we have here, you see something like this image block. It's not standing inside, it's not inside anything. So this is body. We have body from here. This is body. So, but when it gets to this header, we have something different. You can see inside header, there's nothing directly inside header. So there was nothing, header was not generated separately. But inside header, you now have navigation, nav, which is not holding all of this. So what we have generated is header nav. So all the properties you have inside header nav will be poured into this. And then a good part of working with Sass is this: when the transpiler does its work, it will add some should I call it some additions to it. Just like you have some cases whereby there are some CSS declarations that are not generally being used by all browsers. So something like this, look at the way you have it here. You have backdrop filter. backdrop filter, which is same law 16. That's what we have written here. But in the case of what is being generated in the CSS file, you have an addition of WebKits backdrop filter of this value. So which means what this is doing is this, and usually all this something like this will be generated before the actual value. So which means if this screen is using this, if the screen recognizes this, this will not be used. And if it does not recognize this and it's just still using it in the experimental stage, then something like this will work. So that way you don't have to write this or write the other one, which is something like Osmog water view. You don't need to trouble yourself with that. Look at this guy here. In image here, we have object feet of contain. But in the case of what is generated there, you see that an addition has been, there's an addition of -o object feet of contain. So what it's saying is for a screen that does not, for a browser that does not recognize object feet yet, but understands this as object feet, it can actually use this and still work well on such screen. Are we together? So I'm gonna start my what was it called? I'm gonna start my SAS watcher. So I'm not seeing it here. So I'll just go to extension. I think I mentioned how to have it installed. So you can just search SAS like this. So this is the extension. This is it here. This is the extension we are using. This is already deprecated. So we are working with this. So it's already installed, but I can't see it in the what's it called. I can't see it.
This
Yeah.
live, I saw live start. So is this for live server?
No. Live server is different. Live server
Okay,
is,
this one live start compiler. So what?
yes, live SAS compiler. It's just like I mentioned. It's working to convert your SAS file, all this nesting, all this what have you, into this such that your system can actually see the right CSS it needs to work with.
Do you use it just for Bootstrap or even normal CSS?
No, in the case of Bootstrap, you are not doing anything inside Bootstrap. Bootstrap has already done its own. Bootstrap, in fact, Bootstrap is using this method. They've already done it as a package for you. You just need to add the CSS file to your project. But if you still want to add some other declarations, obviously, when the Bootstrap documentation does not cover something like this. If you look at what you have here, where is the site again? If you look at what you have here, you can see this color we have here. The background color you have for this, the background color you have here. And some of these things, you find out that you don't have them exactly inside Bootstrap. So definitely you will still want to write your own CSS. So the idea of Bootstrap is to help you reduce repetition, and then you just have those important ones, those differences to just deal with in your CSS file. And so for our CSS file too, I was not like, okay, it's better we work with SAS. And why? Because you might want to do some nesting, and then that's where this comes into play. So I'm looking at my extension down here now. I can't see anything on what's it called. I can't see the what's it called here. Normally it should be showing here. So if I'm not having it, I'll try to start it from here. I should be able to see watch SAS. I can't see watch SAS here. Okay, I'm gonna do something. I'll reduce the size of this stuff. Probably that's why it's not showing. I usually have more extension stuff.
Sir? Mobile.
I still can see the CSS stuff here. I'll probably have to restart. Okay, you have it here. This is watch SAS, so it's actually here. So which means so many stores here, that's why it's not showing. But I should be able to scroll left and right to actually see this, but I can. Okay, so usually if you don't have your what's it called, so many extensions installed on your system like mine, you probably be able to see it straight up. You should have shown straight up. So then what you just need to do is click on this guy, watch SAS. So you can see it says watching. I know it's very
Techno
small.
Spark. Techno Spark 8C. Please, can I mute your mic?
Yeah, I better mute your this thing, though. Mute your this thing.
Mute your mic.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just continue here. So this is what we have. I've been able to start this and it's showing watching here. So it's very small. So I'm going to increase my screen size so that we can all see what I'm working on better here. So basically when you start it, you will see it watching here. And then if you want to stop it, you click on it back and it says stop watching. So I'm just going to click it back to start watching. And then it starts generating some details for us to watch and see. Okay, this is this. So if you look at what you have here, I'm gonna bring back my guy. Okay, can we see it better now? Hello. Hello.
Yes, I can see, but I don't know. I can see better.
Okay, let me get it better. Okay, so I'll just go with this. So if you look at what you have here, I should be able to scroll left and right here, but this thing is not scrolling. But you definitely have other extensions. You open something. Okay, so this is this. If you check what you have here, it says live SAS compile. So if everything is okay with your SAS files, you see all of this okay. So if you have something like this, if there's an error in your SAS file, okay, let me say I remove this guy. So which means something is wrong with this file, and then you get to see an error message like this. It says it's watching, but there's an error on this. It says error unmatched this. So we're gonna return this and remove this. So you can see everything is all good. You can see generated this. So and once that is done, I'm gonna do something here. Take these two guys, delete them. You have deleted them. So once you make changes to your SAS file, all it's looking out for is a SAS file. So whatever there is a SAS file, it will generate the CSS, whatever of it. So if I make this, if I say space, even a space, you can see it's any changes here, it generates the map file, which is this. So let me just move this here, which is this. If once you have yours, you see the content of the map file rather, and then this is the CSS you are looking for, and which is what is linked up in your HTML documents. Are we together? So that's on that. So I'm gonna delete this file. So I want to believe to a very large extent we have a rough idea of what the Bootstrap is doing. That's part one. The second part of it, I'm gonna just go back to, we are not working with terminal here, so we can just stick with output here. So we see what is going on with our SAS stuff. Okay. Just want to confirm something. Okay. So I'll go back to, I'll just delete this file. We've talked about this, so we can take it off. And then I can come to this guy. You can see the changes we have here. The changes we have here, if you click on this guy, it shows you the changes we've made. So from the last commit to now, this is what has happened. You've changed this. There is a space. I added the space to this place, and that's why this guy and this guy, they are looking different. So that's the advantage of Git. It allows you to see the difference or store history of what has happened to your files and then push them. So if for any reason later on you want to revert back to a particular instance, you just need to press the right command, check the history log, and then switch back to whatever you want. Yeah, whenever you want it to go back to, and then you can pick whatever you want there or do whatever you like. So basically that's that. So I'm gonna close this and then close this guy too. So we were here. So then the next part of it was talking about the body section. So we've already talked about how we got this and the Bootstrap added to it. So this is by default, you have this also coming from Bootstrap. When you check the documentation, you see something like this. So this allows you to add JavaScript, because when you're working with the components part of Bootstrap, you might be dealing with some movements. Like when I'm talking about movements, like something like, okay, you want a button that once you click it, it does this, it opens, it scroll down, all of that. You have all of that coming in from JavaScript. So, and that's why you have this being referenced from Bootstrap too. So let's move to the what's it called of Bootstrap first. This is the component section. So in the case of the component section is a bit different from the normal classes we've seen so far. And what you have in the component section is, it's not just okay for you to have classes you can just copy and then use in your code. You should have some sample codes you can easily pick and work with. So that's what you have on that component. So you have accordion. What's an accordion? Accordion is basically a drop down, stuff like this, but it's different from the drop down menu. So this is what you have here. You can see it says accordion 1, and then inside accordion 1 you have this information. If you click on this guy, you get to see another set of information. If you click on this, you get to see this. So basically, you see this being used more on FAQ pages. When you check some websites, you see something like this, which if you click, it will show you some information. Then if you click on the next one, it closes the first one, open this. And then if you want it, you have, there are some cases whereby you want your user to click this will still remain open, and then this too will open, instead of one closing for the other. It all depends on what you want. So in Bootstrap, it's called accordion, and most packages too, you see them being called accordion. So what you have there is you can just copy this guy, copy this code, replace, okay, you have here, it says strong, this is second, whatever, just replace the code with what you want, replace some of these classes with what you want, but you want to keep these guys. You can see this one says accordion item, accordion header. So they are actually names assigned to those classes with respect to the components you are using. So you don't want to touch this kind of classes. But apart from that, you can introduce your own classes to it and remove from what you have here. Are we together? So if you study the pattern, you see like, okay, something is actually being used. You can see something like data, BS, toggle is doing this, all of that, you get to see them in components. So if you copy this code and paste it in your code, you get what you have here. So if I say, you can see it says edit, and this is copy to clipboard. So if I click on this copy, and we come back to our code here, inside main, we have a section. So I'm gonna minimize this. So inside, after this section, I want to put the code here, paste. So we've copied accordion the same way it is on Bootstrap sites, pasted it in our code. And if you come to this list, you get to see the accordion. This is it. Just the same way you have it working on Bootstrap, you have it here too. Are we together? So in most cases, yes, what you have here is not what you want. You just want something like this. So all of this, you don't need them. So you might not want to do something like this. Come back to this. it says accordion 1 item 1. Then you want to look out for where the actual note is. Okay, so this says accordion 1 item #1. So this is the components, the content. ID of collapse 1. So which is this? So you can just take all of this, which is accordion body. You can just take all of this out and say ACC1. Okay, so if you come back to this, you can see it's already changed to ACC1. And then if you go to the second one too, it can be like you just want it to be welcome to 22. So if you click on this now, you can see the content here is now welcome to 22. Same thing applies to this. So that's the function of the components. They give you a template to work with. You just have to copy and then you adjust. And then you might want to ask me, what if I don't want the background color of this to be this? You want it to be bigger than this? It's just as simple as we have it. For this accordion button, this guy here, you can put something like this. You have this class already on it. You can say you want, how should I put it? No, if you look at what you have here, FS, okay, let's say we want to
Use time, yeah.
font size of 5. So it's FS of 5. We are saying take a font size of the declaration we have for 5. So if you come to this, you can see accordion item 1 is bigger than this and this because we've already changed what you have here. So like that, you can change it. You can change the text color. You can say text. You can say text. If I say text danger, which means danger is usually red. So we are saying you should take a color of red. You can see accordion this, and then you can have BG. That's background. Is it BG? BG primary. So BG primary, I think by default from Bootstrap, BG primary is blue. So okay, so you see, you change the background to something else. So now, if what you now want is not within the list of stores that comes by default with Bootstrap, you can now create your own classes and adjust with respect to that and add them to what you are working on or working with. So basically that's that. So, and one thing that comes with this idea of working with packages like this is you might have a lot of repetitions. Instead of you declaring, right, having a long CSS, what was it called, file or files, you'll be working more with classes. So you now see something like this. You can see when we wrote this class blue and what have you on this guy, it does not affect this and it does not affect this. So if you want to affect this and this, it means you have to come back to this and copy these 2 guys, these 3 guys. We just declared, say copy, and then you go to the appropriate item. So button, so under button H2. So this is already by default, it says it's collapsed. So we want to paste here. And then we go to the third one. So you can see they all show the same thing. So now what you work more with in Bootstrap is or whether Bootstrap or any package you are working with, or even your own declarations too, is just adding those classes to concerned tags and then they will affect them. So one thing you notice here is only this first guy is open, the others are collapsed or closed. So if you notice, you see something, the pattern here, you have this guy, you have a class on this button called collapsed. You have on this guy too called collapsed. But if you check the first one, you don't have it here. So what if we take the collapsed we have on this guy here and say cut and move it on this guy? So what do we have here? We are still seeing this guy as opened and then these guys are collapsed. So it's not just the classes declaration, there are other properties in play too. So which means we have to look out for what do we have here. In the case of this one, it says BDS, what's it called? Collapse area expand through all of these properties. You might actually have to look at them to know which one is collapsed, which one is not collapsed. Okay, so if you're gonna compare, you look at for something like this. So you might actually have to start comparing this and this to actually know, or you check the package, the accordion package itself, to know how to make one collapse and the other one what have you. So basically what we'll be doing is probably copying some properties on this, because you have this one says collapsed, and then this one is saying collapsed, but there you will actually find some properties that actually makes this one different from the other one. So such that whenever you click, it tells you what to show and what not to show. Okay, look at, for example, now in this one, it says collapse show. So which means it's basically, we can say it's probably adding this class of show to this, which these guys, they don't have by default. And so we can say like most probably this guy is not showing, this guy is showing because of this class of show. So if you go back to this guy here and take show and say code show and bring show to paste. So you can see this is now closed and this is now showing. So basically that's just it. But in the documentation, once you're starting out, you might actually have to go through it in details to say, okay, this is what happens. How do I get this? So all of these things, you can see the class of, okay, you add show, you don't remove show. They are not, this is already more than just JavaScript, more than just CSS. You are not opening and closing this by CSS. So obviously some JavaScript is going on here, and that's where the JavaScript file we have added here comes into play. So I'm just gonna come back to this list, and you can see the changes we've made from here. We've added this section to our code. So I'm just gonna come back to this and say discard changes. So we are back to where we were. Any questions, please? Okay, I'll take you out. Good. So if you check through, you'll see different options. So this is for button. You can see the different buttons you have by default. You have primary, secondary, all of this. Oh God, I deleted this class already, the file we got from CSS. There's a section here whereby you can actually declare what your primary color should be, what your secondary color should be. You can see from this section here. You can see it's saying something. BS blue should be this, BS indigo should be this, all of this. BS primary should be this. So you can see your BS primary and BS blue, they're actually the same value. So if you come to your Bootstrap, what's it called, or into your CSS file and change this value, it will affect your code, and then you can actually get it to give a different value instead of what you have by default from Bootstrap. Like I mentioned earlier, some things will not totally align with what you want, that you might just make some adjustments. So which means you have to write some CSS in your code to make this work out. So basically that's that. So you have primary of blue, secondary. So usually when you're working on a site, you have a primary color you're working with. Just like in this case, if you look at what you have on this site, the primary color is purple. So you have something like a gradient, purple and one color like that, like, okay, like a black, what's it called, inside, a dark version of it. So then after that, do you have any other color that is prominent? Then you have black. You can say we have black, we have purple, and then you have something like white. But if you look at this very well, it doesn't really look like white, but it seems like one of the shades of, what is it called? It's like a color close to white, but you can also assume that it's white. But if you look at it here, if you look at the background you have here, this place, and this image you have here, this section, the signature here, you can see this is whiter than what you have here. So you don't want to assume that the color of this is white, because you are saying this as black. You can say, okay, this is black. But if you check it, you might find that it's not totally black. It's not the 00 black. So if you click on this is this, and if you check, you can see it says color of this, so which is obviously not 000, what have you. So if you click on it like this, you can see this is the value, and then you can click this, and you see it's actually 222 and not 000. So if you change this value, to hash 000, you'll still be seeing the same, it will still look the same black to you. Okay, look at this. So this guy is now using 00 black, and then look at this guy. Even though this guy look black and this is also black too, but you notice that there is some sense of difference between the black you have here and the black you have here. So you don't want to assume that because it looks purple, it looks blue, then it is blue, and then you use whatever value you have or you think of as blue or black and all of that. So by default, when you're talking about black, you probably be thinking of this color, but your designers might be using one of the shades, might be using it something a little bit different. And then in some cases, some of them might be using transparency, opacity to make it a bit faint and all of that. You have them listed out in your Figma file. Any questions? So so if you look at this 100% guaranteed water view, and then look at this, you probably think they are the same thing, but for a designer, the designer will tell you that what you are seeing here, I'll just reduce this to 75%. So if you are looking at this, guaranteed, if you are not satisfied, started saving time now. Today, you think they are the same thing, but like we have, this is already changed to color of black, and then this is something else. So if I change this to ash F white, so you can see it's white. And then if you now have it as FA. So it's still white, but the white is not white. So the background now is now this the color you have here, there's still something here. The color is FA, but the color is already the same thing or almost same thing with the background. That's why you are not even seeing it again. So if you now put it as 0, so basically that's what you have. So you don't want to assume that this color is that color. You must inspect to confirm. So this is this and that is that. So if you now look at this, if you inspect this, it tells you this, and then you can check properties here, computed property, to know what is and what is not, but we are not doing that now. So I'm just gonna go back from here to this. This is the site I'm looking at. Do we have any questions? Hello? Okay, I'll just look out for something else again. We have card here. So I want to believe we must have gone through this, and if we've not gone through it, if you're having issues, please, it's better we address this before we start taking all of these things and start using them in details. So this is card. You want to work with a card. You want an image here, you have this, All you just need is come here, copy this code, just copy, and then you change this to whatever you want. There's a format already in place for you to work with. And then if you're working with something different, it's just about adding more classes. And then if classes won't work for you, you declare it in your CSS to adjust it to what you want. So this is classes, and then you have close button, drop down, and this is drop down. So something like this, you want somebody to drop down menu. Usually you have it on mobile, or you can have it on some desktops too, depending on the information you have on the site. So this is drop down. So the navigation bar, what's it called? You have by default navigation stuff here from Bootstrap. So you can see you have link, all of this. You can just copy them paste, if you look at it, it says UL, list, anchor, all of this, which is similar to what we have inside this list. You can say UL this, all of this, and all of this. But I think when we were doing this, we were not considering Bootstrap initially. But then when we started using, you can see we have dflex, dflex here, we have dflex here, we have dflex here. And then you start seeing yourself using flex a lot, and then you start wondering, why should I be declaring all of these components one by one and be putting display flex, display flex up and down? And that's where the classes coming from Bootstrap. It's handy. Are we together? So basically that's just that on this. And then you have pagination. And then if you want to work with modal, what are modals? Modals are basically pop-ups. They sometimes it just fill up your screen, and depending on what you want, you must have seen stuff like that. Okay, if I say close, save changes, something like this. So launch demo modal. So this is a modal. You have the background, your screen is still your screen, your user is still seeing this, but then there's something like an overlay on it. It could be a small box like this, and then you could have it in some cases whereby once your modal is open, you don't want your user to be able to interact with what is on the background until they are done attending to what you have here. So you can see it says here, who are you reading this text in a modal? Do you want to close it or you want to save changes? So based on whatever response you get from the user, you determine if they should continue back to this. And then some cases are that you want them, whether they attend to it or not, they can click on this and then they are back to whatever they were working with. It all depends on the design you have and the flow you were working with. So that's modal. So you have a whole lot of them here. You have progress stuff, so like a progress bar. You can see you probably be seeing something like this. Okay, 50%, 20%, all of those, what's it called? I can see 25% loading, 30% loading, all of that. You have sample codes in Bootstrap to work with. And then you have the more we work with these tools, the better you get with them. And then the other part of it is, which you have to be more robust, is Tailwind. From my own perspective, Tailwind. So there's this view about Bootstrap. Bootstrap comes with mostly, it depends on whoever is working on. For beginners on Bootstrap, usually you see their sites looking like the Bootstrap site. They might not be able to get it to actually look like something else, just like what you have. If you are looking at the site, you know this is not Bootstrap. But it could also be Bootstrap because it means the user must have taken more time to define the properties in Bootstrap. But if you just want to pick up a project and start using everything you have in Bootstrap the way it is in Bootstrap, you might start seeing a pattern with some sites, so that once you see them, you just know that, okay, this site is using Bootstrap. And then whoever worked on the site was not that professional enough to make some changes. So some default settings from Bootstrap get moved into the code base, and people start seeing some pattern and they'll be like, this is Bootstrap. This is how Bootstrap hamburger works and all of that. So that's just that for us on this. So the other one, like I mentioned, is Tailwind. And then Tailwind, if you look at the way Tailwind looks, you can see this sense of, look at what we have here, the way this card is designed and the way this site is designed. You probably think that these guys are using Tailwind, but it might not be true. But Tailwind is more robust, and as we progress, you get to pick some things here. And like you have with Bootstrap, you have declarations too. You have ready-made codes. You can click, copy, and then edit to suit whatever you are working with or working on. So, but for the sake of this session, so we don't, because we don't get ourselves confused and all of that, and then it's not impossible that quite a number. Hello.
Okay, good. Let me tell your mom to offer. Yes. Let me do your disconnect and connect.
Okay, like I was saying, it's not impossible that it's not impossible that quite a number of sites will be working or you'll be seeing will be using the Bootstrap, and that's why we are making Bootstrap as our focus. So if you after Bootstrap you want to go further, you can then go with Tailwind CSS. So that's on that. I think it's 7:39. So next class, I'm gonna see. Let's see if we can have another class next week before Saturday because of
Yes, sir.
Let's see if we can have.
because
Oh,
of the missed
sorry.
classes. Because we really have a lot to do. Okay, let me get to Pastor and confirm with him so we can probably then I'll post on the group chat. Probably we can have something maybe Wednesday or Thursday, depending on you guys. I'm always at home, always free, so I can always join and call anytime, provided that I'm not
Sorry,
sleeping.
sir. Please. I was thinking we could have like a mid-week class for
Yeah.
we are a bit lagging behind. You get not for the whole class, for those who are actually interested. For those like me who are like a bit slow to learning, and I'm trying to catch things. If it's not too much stress for you, even if it's at night, I'm down for it. Just to catch up.
Okay, I'll have that discussed with the pastor. Everything still needs to go through. Okay, so it's not a problem. I'm always free, mostly free if I'm not sleeping actually. Okay, so that's for today. So basically, like I mentioned, this code is available on this link, and I already posted it in the last before when we had this class, this link there. So if you want to see where we worked or where we are and changes we've made, you can always visit this link. So once we get this page to a very reasonable extent and you guys start working with some assignment and all of that, I won't be saying that, okay, come and share your screen. Like everybody wants to share their screen so that we can see what you've done. All I just need to do is drop your link, then we check the link. And then later on, I will show you how to host this thing on something like Netlify. You have sites like Netlify, and then Vercel. This is Netlify, and then we have Vercel too. So they have free packages whereby you can, for developers, you can easily post your projects and then see people can get to appreciate. Okay, just this is my own account on Vercel. So this is a repo from my code. This is from Featherbond game. And then if you click on this, it's a rock scissors game, whatever I did then. So that's just that. So it's a free, there are actually free packages there whereby you can host your code and then you can share with people to see. So basically, even what you are doing here, it's, if you ask me, it's because you're just starting out. This is actually wrong. In a normal, what's it called, you should have the link to where this thing is hosted so that anybody that is seeing it can actually see that, okay, this is what is going on here. And that's why you notice one thing, it's actually on BB tests and not on my main, what's it called? My main GitHub account. So, but if you look at this one is actually on Featherbond. So this is here. So if you look at what you have here, you can see about us, you have the link to it. So anybody that is coming to my GitHub account will see this, and then there's a README file that tells the person this is what is going on here. Okay, this is actually a task for this so. This is the repo link, this is the demo link, and then this is a video that explains what is going on here. Hi, I'm a meet again, so that's just that. So in a normal, what's it called? Once you start building, you want to put all of this information. You have the setup. How do you set it up? How do you get to start working with this? So because if you once you put it, you can see this code base is set to be public. So anybody that is seeing this code, if you are putting it as public, it means you want people to actually see it. And then if they see it, they might want to be like, okay, let me set it up on my system. Let me study what you've done here. So in such a situation, you want to add a README file, and your README file should be detailed enough to tell the person what to do. So you can see the setting up. The first step is clone the repo, which is normal thing. You come to this place, copy the link, and then you do git clone. Then you have a cloned version of it. And then the next step is from a terminal of the cloned repo folder, run npm install and npm start. So this is assuming that the person already has npm on their system. So this is assuming that, okay, whoever is coming to this place, so even copy or to set it up, you're already a developer. So if you are seeing npm install and start, you should know what it means. And that's one part. Then if you like, you might want to be more detailed and be like, okay, you need some stuff on your system. You need to have Node.js, you have to have this and all of that. That's explaining what is needed to actually have this on the system. So, but with this two-step, once you get to this place, you clone this, and then you're asking yourself, what is going on here? You can actually Google it. Okay, what is npm install and that? And then you see details somewhere else on what to do. So, and then the next thing is it tells you npm start. It means once you clone this and do this, just run this, and then it will automatically attempt to open it on this particular port. So then you have the test, build, all of those information. So this is a better detail.
Can I go offline? My thing is down.
Sorry, just a minute, and we are rounding up now. So if you look at what we have here, the README file explains what is going on in this code base and then how to set it up and what is actually going on. There's actually a link to a video to see what is going on there. So, but in what we have here is we just have the files, and then just this is a test we built, what's it called, nothing serious. And I don't want to put this straight up on my, what's it called, and that's why I have an organization, whatever, to actually run tests. So when we get to the other part of this code, when we start building properly, like writing the details and all of that, then you can have it on my, what's it called. So the usual, what's it called, is when you are doing something like this, if I don't have like an organization account like this, you have it as private. So whatever nonsense that is going on in this code base, people won't start saying like, hey, what's going on? Because if you have, for me, I always have my CV outside and somebody wants to take my, what's it called, I won't want them to see this. Not everybody will understand that I'm actually building this for a test, what's it called, or for a section. So basically that's on today's sections. Sorry, do we have any questions before we call it a day? Okay, I will assume that we're all good. Okay, so please, let's have a wonderful night rest. Goodbye.
Okay.
Good night, sir.
Say okay, right, bye.
This cloud, baby, Jesus.
This babe.
Hey, Buka.
Yes.
So I sent you a message last 3 weeks? I was asking questions. I didn't understand something. You know, reply. It was the other guy that I replied me. Nah,
Are you serious? Yeah, DM me, let's talk.
I like about
DM
DM
me,
you.
let's-
Do I know your chat? I don't. That's fast now.
I'll DM you, don't worry.
You know, how will you find me?
Don't worry, I'll find you. Dan Vicky, Abi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll find you.